Hi, I'm David Gross with Conde Systems, back with you to share a little bit of my wisdom for sublimation success. Well, every day here at Conde is a day for me to learn something new, for us to learn from our clients, and come up with really what I would call our breakthroughs for improving the sublimation process. What I'd like to share with you now is the innovation of using fabric on top of our products instead of using cover paper, butcher paper, what we call that. And what I have in my hand here is a piece of our new Color Light glass. It's a breakthrough in technology. We coat it here in the United States and it's just amazing. It's viewable from both sides, incredibly vibrant colors. And our transfer technique for doing this calls for the glass to be coated side up, which is like this. The transfer is face down, and then a piece of our polypoplin fabric on top. And that's really the source of this video, or the purpose of this video. Some years ago, we began telling our large format ChromaLuxe clients to use fabric on top instead of cover paper. And so the reason we did this is because the arch enemy of sublimation is moisture. And when you heat things up, guess what? The moisture comes out of products, and you put enough heat into it, moisture turns into steam, and steam simply is incompatible with the sublimation of the dyes. And so, and I'm not sure where this tip came from, so unfortunately I can't give credit where credit would due. It may have actually come from one of our clients, it probably did. It may have come from the great folks at ChromaLuxe. But at any rate, by putting this fabric on top of the transfer, in other words, this is the last thing to go on, it acts as an uncompressible vent to allow moisture to move away from the transfer process, to get out of the way. If we use, for instance, just a piece of paper on top, which is typical, that process, using it that way, seems to trap the moisture and it puddles, and we often see problems. So in the ChromaLuxe world, it is absolutely required that we use fabric on top instead of cover paper. And this tip has really worked out incredibly well. Now the fabric does, of course, get nasty over time, and when it gets nasty enough, just simply replace it. Having a little ink on the fabric doesn't hurt anything, but when it gets really nasty, just simply replace it, as the fabric is very inexpensive. We have found that the fabric that works best for us is our 100% polyester, which we call polypoplin, and your Conde rep can help you with this. And you just get you a couple of yards of it and use it up as needed. If you're having a moisture problem with, say, a substrate that we're not talking about here, for instance, I'm working the fabric instructions into our pinch books. You could put a piece of fabric in the inside cover on top of it, and it would allow that moisture to dissipate easier. So I think the fabric is going to become increasingly more used and helpful in preventing moisture from damaging our transfers. One other just comment about moisture. So moisture can, of course, occur other places, and the fabric is of course a good way to handle it. But for instance, on your transfer, you want to dry your transfer. So if you've got a transfer, pass it underneath your heat press for a few seconds and make sure it's dry, because after all, we are printing with colored water. Other things, and I'm trying to look for if I've got an example in here. My well-used Nomex pad. This is a piece of well-used Nomex pad. Normally, this is a piece of bright white material, and for folks with large presses or folks that are using Nomex pads, ultimately we can actually collect underneath the pad a considerable amount of moisture. So if you're fortunate enough to have, say, a George Knight Maxi Air, there is no rubber pad on the bottom of the press. There's just the removable white Nomex pad. Well, during the day, as you heat things up and they cool things down, guess what? You can have condensation underneath the pad. And so, watch for that. You can replace the pad about halfway through your day, or flip it over and dry it for another minute. So there's some ways. But the purpose of the video is to let you know that as moisture is escaping, it turns into steam, and fabric, this polypoplin fabric, is just a great way to deal with that moisture, to keep it from ruining our transfers. So you'll see it as we update our instructions. We're going to, in the near future, we're going to add this on many substrates, and you would use this instead of using cover paper. So most of the time it's a substrate which is coated side up, transfer is face down, having dried your transfer before you press it, and then you would put fabric on top. You would no longer use cover paper. If you use cover paper, you're trapping the moisture, you're preventing it from dissipating. Also, if you fall in love with using fabric like I have, you don't want to attach it to the top of your press. There you're going to lose sight of what condition the fabric is in, and so the best thing to do is just simply lay it on top of the substrate and then do your press. So I look forward to hearing your comments on how this might be working for you. Contact your Conde rep to get some of the polypoplin, and look forward to helping you achieve more with sublimation. This has been David Gross with Conde Systems. Till we meet again.